What's
Hello.
up, people? All righty.
Hello, hello.
Hello, everyone. Hi. All right. This is the first time that we are doing a live Zoom teaching of anything for me.
Mhm.
And now I know what my kids feel like.
Yes,
Or I know what these poor teachers feel like.
that's right. So as we go through this material, like I said, this is 30 minutes. It's quick. Any questions you have, either type them in or we'll get
I'm
to
good.
it.
I have my Planned Parenthood banner up.
Oh, here's somebody.
So everybody mute. So this is going to be very informal. And we encourage questions and participation. You know, like Gene was saying, that we'll start and go through it, spend about 30 minutes just talking about the instructions specifically, and then how we've modified it to work for us. And then we will be open for questions and input. And if anybody else has ideas around other ways that they've done goal setting, couples, individual, business, family, whatever, we'd love to hear that as well.
Cool. So real quick, we're going to jump over to the document itself that was in the email or online that you can download, just so you know what we're talking about when we go through the 9 steps.
So if everybody could raise their hand, did they have an opportunity to download it or review the document? Yes, good job, Brian White.
I see the stewards did not.
Oh,
yeah.
there we go.
Okay, there we
Okay.
go. Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. So this goal setting was actually something that Gene picked up and learned a long time ago when you started. Long time ago.
20 years ago.
Yes.
Yes.
From his business coach at the time. I believe he did he do this with his wife, or did he teach this?
Well, he did a form of it, and then Mary Tennant taught it, who was the president of Keller Williams, not then, but has been. She taught it, that this is something that her and her husband Jack did.
Yeah.
And so we merged them together, and this is what we came up with. And we've been doing this for 18, it'll be our 19th time this year.
Yeah, actually the first time I remember doing it, he thinks we did it before, but Sophia, our middle, was 6 months old, and I left her with a babysitter all weekend to go away to do this. And, you know, one thing that the program, it does suggest that you go away, and it doesn't have to be a long amount of time, but we both have discovered that when it comes time to do goal setting and planning, that we're better off being in a different environment. Because a lot of this is about thinking big and thinking outside of what your normal is. So when you're in a different environment like that, I think it's more conducive to think big.
Yeah, especially with 3 kids at home, if you can get away and you're not too close where you can run, if something comes up and you have to run home real quick, that's the back of your head. But also being in a fun place, we've done a lot of different bed and breakfasts around Central Texas, around Texas. We've left the state a couple times. And so it's typically anywhere from 24 to 48 hours is kind of how, the time that we take to do it. But it's really one good day of work. And then, a couple good dinners and nice breakfast and head home. So we're going to fast forward real quick through, I'll let you do that, to the last page here, which is the personal dream list. And this is kind of what you work off when you actually get into doing the actual work.
So we don't actually use this particular template because I like to have more space in between, but this is the format that, if you brought a notebook with you, you will do your personal dream list on. And we're going to go into the details about that. But that's the first step. So the first step is getting it on your calendar and getting it booked. Second
Right.
step is going with an open mindset and being willing to dig deep and also open up to whoever you're doing your goal setting with.
And when you say that there's usually one of us, me, that wants to do it and the other one that doesn't ever want to schedule it?
Me?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And every time we get there halfway through the day, there's some earth-shattering aha that I have about myself or about some goals of his, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. And I'm like, oh, Gene, you're so right. This is so good.
Yes.
So
it pays off. But I hear that over and over again from couples that they're like, one spouse wants to do it, the other one doesn't, or doesn't want to make the time. And you just got to get on the calendar, pay for the bed and breakfast, non-refundable, and just go do it.
Yeah. Well, and people, and most people on here probably know Gene, our story. However, if you don't, we work together and we've been together for 30 years this year. So people ask us all the time, like, how do you stay together and love each other and work together and raise kids together? Like, that's a lot of togethers. And I have to say, this and God are the two reasons why this all works out.
Yep. A big part of why I wanted to do this early on was because as Susan is a young mom, I'm
still a young mom. I'm not an old mom.
That's right. A fresh mom. And talking to a lot of our friends that were older that were no longer married, I saw a pattern where the couples, lots of times the husband's working. He's doing this, he's doing that, he's getting sales training, he's getting this, he's getting that. And the wife's at home and really taking care of the kids and keeping the household going. And then the kids are gone, they look up and they don't have a relationship because they don't know how to communicate, because they don't know what's important to each other. And so this was a tool. They were like, hey, let's do this so we can stay in touch with each other as to what's important to you, what's important to me. And it's just evolved now that we're business partners. It's not just what I want and what she wants, but it's what the business, and then of course the family and the kids and all that, works together. So, it's everybody knows it's work, for a marriage and for a relationship. And this is something that, a tool, and it's education, and it's something that you invest in each other. And so I just plead you to find the time to do it. So let's jump right in.
Okay. So first step is Mac. Yes, Mac. I think it's user error personally.
Yes.
But yeah.
And so when you have that dream list, by the way, print out, 10 or 20 of those pages, because you're gonna be writing out a bunch of goals.
So step number 1 is creating your master dream list. So the purpose here is to take time to look deeply at what you want to do with your life. It is a creative process. It should be done with no limits. It should not involve any judgment about what is realistic or possible. You should ask yourself this question: if money, time, and talent were unlimited, what would I really want? What would I like to have, own, or possess? What would I like to do, experience, travel, adventure, relationships, etc.? And what would I like to be, learn, express, work, ability, competence, personality, character, etc.? And this one, and you want to sit and do this, you want to separate and spend at least an hour or two. In the instructions, it says 3 hours, three 2-hour segments. Gene and I,
we've been doing this long enough that we can speed it up, and literally we can, if we spend 3 1-hour segments apart. So, but when we first did it, it was harder because we'd never done it. So we were sitting there thinking, oh, if I could do anything, if I could be anywhere, if I could go anywhere, if I could have anything, if I could have any talent, and so it's hard. But the more you do it, the quicker things flow. And, throughout the year, you're thinking that stuff's just coming to your mind. So when you sit down and really concentrate on it, you can do it much faster. So, everybody's different. Everybody has a different imagination. However, I can tell you that I will come back with 50 and she'll have 100. So she always doubles whatever I'm writing. So it takes me longer to think and write things down, and she just blows right through it. So,
well, the thing is, and you have to remember that the instructions are to go with no limits. So like really thinking big, like I every year being a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader is on that list. It's not going to happen, but no limits. I always wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, and maybe they'll let old ladies be Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders someday. I don't know. So like just going over the top, and it seems silly, and then some of it seems like you're being vain. Some of the times it feels like you're being selfish, and and you just have to let that go and just put it out there, because it takes you through a process where the important stuff really rises to the top. But it just really helps to really not put any limits on it. And the thing, like he was saying earlier, that 1 hour, we actually do better doing the hour. Then we come back together and he reads his and I read mine. And I'm
she'll read 10, I'll read 10, she'll read 10, I'll read 10. And
we're like, oh, that's a good one. I want that one.
Yeah, or it makes you think of something else that, is important to you that you haven't thought about yet.
And that's okay. We do end up adding, like I add some of yours down, he adds some of mine down.
Yeah.
And then we separate, and then we do it again. Spend another hour, We do try not to start indulging in any wine or any of that stuff yet, so that way we really stay focused. And
it's fun. I mean, like I said, finding a bed and breakfast, I go sit on a swing, overlook a river or something. She goes up next to a fireplace. It's just a comfortable place that, allows you to really appreciate your surroundings, your family, your health, and those things, and just allows things to flow a little bit better, especially without a phone next to you or a computer or anything like that.
the biggest thing is don't overthink it. Like, you just got to let your brain just go.
Just go.
Just think, like, okay, okay, so I have 10-inch long hair, and my kids are valedictorian at Harvard, whatever, like, just let it. And then silly stuff too. Like, I have a cleaning lady that comes every day, and a chef that prepares my meals every day. I mean, again, some of it is,
there's a weight, I've got to, I want to be 180 pounds someday. That's my goal, right? So that shows up every year.
So spend an hour, come together, share, have some ahas. It ends up starting some discussions, which is really cool. And then you separate, do it again.
And then after you go through that multiple hours reading it to each other, and of course, if you're single and you don't have somebody to read it to, you just skip that part of it. And then you go to number 2, which is a personal payoff rating scale. And so once you've completed the dream list, you're going to go back and give each item a rating, a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being, this is really going to pay off. This is really important to me. 1 being, no big deal. 5 being, I'd like to do that someday. So you just put a personal payoff rating scale through that.
So the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, it would probably be a 2. And right. I don't think it deserves a 1, but it'll probably be a 2.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a 2.5. Yeah.
Gene's gonna buy me the costume.
That's right. I am going to, now that you say that. And then you switch over after that. You go through and you rank all of those 1 through 10, and then you go to the realistic achievement rating scale.
So then going back, to this little page, so you've got your, your personal payoff rating. So 1 to 10, how important is that goal or dream? And then your realistic, as it says, realistic achievement. So how likely is it that you could achieve this goal?
Yeah.
So probably a 1 on the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. So by doing those 2 ratings, then all of a sudden your goals start lining up. And we'll go into number 4, talking about the life goal balancing wheel. A lot of this happens while Susan and I are sharing our goals with each other, because then we start realizing, man, all of mine are about work and hers are all about the kids. And so then it makes me think of family, or makes me think of some things that I want, and then makes her think of some stuff at the office or in our business that she wants to work on. And so it naturally starts flowing back around to relationships. It talks about the 3 key things being work, relationships, and health. Or was it health?
Yeah, but when we do it, we don't normally go to this life balancing wheel quite yet. We go into those rankings where we have that personal payoff, and then we have the realistic achievement. I keep wanting to say award, realistic achievement rating, which then gives you this number here. So that gives you
number 5 there.
Gives you this number. So at that point, so if it's a 10 on the personal payoff and a 10 on the realistically being able to achieve it, then that's a 20.
Right.
So you go through all your list and add these numbers together to get your real number, and that is your ranking.
And then you, on a separate piece of paper, then you start writing out your 20s, and then you start writing your 19s, and you start writing your 18s. And by the time you get to 18s, 17s, you've got a pretty dang good list that is really freaking important to you. I mean, it's very obvious. And I know what her list is. I know what my list is. And at that point, the rest of this information really is about identifying the family, the business, the health, putting those in different targets for you.
But before we go back, before we go on, I want to go back to that, because we then get together again and we read our 20s, our 19s. So like he reads his 20s and then I read my 20s, and he reads his 19s and I read my 19s. Yeah. And that is where the magic happens, because I'm like, holy crap, I had no idea that he was that worried about this, or this was such a big goal for him. Like that, I had no idea that some of his 20s and 19s were 20s and 19s. And same for me, he had no idea the stuff that, and it's not just negative stuff, but a lot of it tended to be, these things were important, and there was some kind of push that it would have had a negative effect or repercussion. So it just that's the magic part of this.
That's the best part for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where you both get on the same page of what's really, really, really important to you, because you don't have time in your life you may mention something 3 or 4 times that this is important to me, but to write it down and have it in paper, and your spouse has it too, that's powerful. And we could pull up the statistics on people completing their goals, but by people just simply writing them down, the percentage goes up 80%. It's something crazy.
Well, and having a designated time that you share this with your life partner, I'm sure you've all experienced this. I know I experience this pretty much on a daily basis with lots of people that are in my life. I expect them to think like I think, and they expect me to think like they think. And I assume that he knows what's important to me and what is a goal of mine. And I probably have myself believing that I told him at some point when I didn't. So this way it just eliminates the option of him not knowing and getting his buy-in. And then there's been times that there were things that I thought were important, and then after discussing it with him further, it wasn't really that important. So it helps get each other in each other's camp to support. And that's where we go into the next one, is having that action plan, the action plan and the target list. So at that point, really sitting down going, okay, so these things were important to you. What is your plan around it? Okay, what can I do to support it? How can we make sure that I'm setting you up for success? Like
right.
him, he wants to lose weight. Okay, I'll be in charge of making sure that we meal prep.
And even when you take your 20s and you line those up and go, okay, what's my 1, 3, 5? What's my 1 year, 3 year, 5 year on these? Which one's the most, which one's going to happen first? And then what do I have to do in the 3 or 5 years to make those happen? And so that's where the action plan comes into. And then going into, you do that.
Sorry. Where are you trying to go?
To the end, 7 and 8, 9. Just talking about, putting it on your calendar. Susan and I both have a coach. So that helps us a lot, because our coaches know what our goals are. And so they hold us accountable to that.
But we also have a formatted sheet that we complete, which is along the lines of having an annual goal and then breaking it into the monthly, what am I going to do to support that annual goal? And then weekly, what am I going to do each week that supports that monthly goal, which ultimately supports that annual goal? And then I take it to the next step and actually put that on my calendar. And again, I have to get coached through this all the time, but really making sure that if it's not on my calendar, if it's not there, the chances of me remembering to work towards that goal are not very likely.
No.
So putting it there, and then of course sharing it with someone and giving them permission to help hold you accountable and ask you about it and ask how you're doing and if you're winning or do you need help.
And your spouse isn't always the best person for that.
No. So
it's good to find a friend or a mentor, as it says here, somebody that can help you hold yourself accountable to doing that, So I think we're pretty much, that's the gist of it. So let's get rid of this, stop sharing, and we'll just open it up to questions. What questions you guys got? Don't be shy.
If nobody has a question yet, you guys gave this to Elena and I. This is our notebook from last year. We got together, we went away for 2 days. We didn't make it through the list. It was so much stuff and opened up so much conversation for us around our relationship, around our goals, around things we didn't know about each other, that even though we did a lot on the list, looking back at it while we were doing this, we got so much closer and understood each other. So when we got pissed off at each other because you're doing that thing again, it's like, but I'm still mad, but I remember why you do it, because it's so important. And I said I would support you. So I'm going to support you with but, and then throughout the year that resentment went away, and we just got, in fact, one of our goals was to do a relationship course, and we finally started that in December. So we got it just barely under the wire. But for anybody who hasn't done it, it's a really cool program. So that's it. I'll be quiet. Ask questions.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing and validating that if you got to put it on your goals, if you put it out there, you will. If you're a person that of honor and like you want to be authentic with yourself, you're going to do it or push to do it, or at least get it on the calendar, and maybe in the first month of the year afterwards or something.
Yes, and the only last thing is being American and her being Russian. She always reminds me, you Americans you try and save feelings so much that I never understand what you say. Tell me you're pissed off. Okay. So it actually helped quite a bit.
That's the translation. Yeah. So a couple questions. Go ahead, Kristen.
I have a question. So how, like, I know you guys sometimes do like a vision board for the year. So how important is it for you to visualize those goals, not just put them on a calendar where you can just go from week to week, but also just have them like out there in like one spot or something?
Yeah, we do that as a team. You know, our whole team does our vision boards, which we haven't done yet this year.
Work for the team.
Yeah, so each person, we do that. And I have my dream board up on my wall, and it's really cool because I do, you do look back at it and see all of the things that you actually achieved, accomplished, did, whatever, learned. A lot of mine has affirmations on it. So I just cut affirmations out of, words out of magazines and things like that. And there might be a pair of shoes or two on there, but there's intellectual, spiritual, worldly, kids. I have a picture of a trip that we went on with our kids to Europe because I want to go back to Europe, and I'm just believing that it gets to happen. So
yeah, it's funny. We 4 years ago, we both put a picture of a pool on our dream boards. And when we showed each other our dream board, it was the same pool.
And our pool looked like that.
And if anybody's seen our pool, it looks a lot like that. So
it was crazy.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Visualized it and then you made it happen. Basically.
Yep.
No, absolutely. And I know Amanda had asked, is it a good, bad thing if you have a majority of your goals the exact same as your partner? I mean, I don't see any issues with that whatsoever. We definitely have different goals, and they've changed. When she was a stay-at-home mom and I was at the office, her priorities were different than mine. And today, as we are coming into empty nester world and being business partners, our goals are different. So they do change yearly. It's your priorities change. As you get older, you see things differently. So your whole goal list changes, I think, pretty dramatically, over time.
Having the same goals. I can't imagine all of the same exact goals, but having the majority of the same goals, I think would be awesome. There'd be less having to convince someone else to buy into what I believe or vice versa. And yeah, I don't see any for us. We have a lot of the same goals.
Yeah. And it's, like anything, Ryan was asking, how often do you reconcile your progress? Checking back through, taking your goals and having it in a dream board, that's, for me, mine's sitting right on my desk. Hers is right next to hers. You can't leave her office without seeing her dream board. And which helps me too. I enjoy seeing it. I enjoy seeing the team's dream boards because it tells me as a leader what's important to them. And
he uses it to buy gifts too. So he'll look at people's dream boards. He's like,
Yes.
One thing that I did a couple years, I haven't done it the last couple times, and I want to be totally transparent. Gene and I are behind, and we have not done this year for this year yet. And it's just been I'm not making any excuses. So this is definitely
COVID's been a little weird for our business, so we've been slammed.
Yeah. So we will get it done very soon.
Yes.
But I would take my pages and laminate them. I'm a very tangible person. Like he went back and typed his in, so he would have electric copies. I laminated mine, and it's really cool to like put it on your calendar, like once a quarter, put it on your calendar to pop up to pull out your personal dream list and see how much of that stuff you're making progress towards, or you've already even accomplished.
Yeah.
And then you realize too, you know, like reviewing it when you go next year and the year after and the year after, you're like, wow, that was important to me. So it's just neat to see that checked off.
Yeah. And Ryan also asked how many goals are too many goals in our experience. I mean, we end up writing pages. I mean, realistically, when you start writing the 20s and down to 18s, 16s, and 15s, once you get to that, you kind of feel like these are just weak. You know, these were fun or whatever, but they don't really mean that much to me. And so you've got those, and it's anywhere from 20 to maybe 30, 40 at the most.
Yeah, I would say I probably have 2 pages this size of 20s and 19s. And then those are really the ones that.
Yeah, I mean, you end up with 10, I mean, really 10 great ones that are just like, wow, this is really, really important to me. And this is really, really important to you. And then the other ones are fun to look at and, you know, consider for the next year. So anyway, it's not like it's dozens and dozens.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. What other questions you guys have? Quiet people. Come on, Thomas, you got something. Kyle, you got your wife sitting right next to you. Good to see the Goldmans on here.
Okay.
I thought Kyle was almost going to unmute himself.
Trying.
I was trying to. I was under the impression all I had to do was push the space bar, but clearly I don't use Zoom as much as everybody else. Just wanted to tell you guys thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
We don't have any specific questions, but we've never done this process before, and it's something I know you've talked about pretty much since I've known you, Gene, and I've always come home and said we should do that.
Yes.
But it really helps when you guys have an event like this. It kind of instigates progress for us. So thank you.
You've got a few people here that know you. So when are you guys going to do it? Where's the accountability? Come on, what's word?
Christy.
all you need is a weekend, really. A Friday, drive to a bed and breakfast, spend all day Saturday, come home the afternoon, or get up early a Saturday, spend a Saturday night, come home Sunday.
And you don't have to do a spend the night thing either. It's just nice because then you do sit and relax and like really dive deeper into some of the things that came up when you have your dinner. And then because the next morning really we pretty much knock it all out in one day, and we just take that time to soak it in the day after.
Yeah.
Well, we will do it in February.
Awesome.
And it
Anybody
will involve
else?
a night not here in this house.
Say that again.
Awesome. All right. Gregory, Kirsten.
Appreciate you
guys?
very much, Gene and Susan. We're going to get ours done in March.
Awesome.
Cool. Stewart's?
Yeah, we'll do it for sure.
Yeah,
When?
February.
we're pretty busy right now, so we'll see.
We'll
No.
We'll
Come
make
on.
it happen.
Well-
Maybe rather sooner than later, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Jason, you guys have a date for this year yet?
We don't. We actually rolled right into a lot of goals from last year for the beginning of this year, and I had forgotten all about it until this came up. So thank you. I was just looking at the calendar while we were talking. Definitely in February, as we are out of January and this weekend is booked. So before Valentine's Day.
Nice.
And I do have to say, getting away from the house, between dog, kids, business, everything else, it made a world of difference.
Yeah.
We didn't care. We go to a Motel 6 or we'd go to the Four Seasons, whichever one we could get into and could afford. It was worth it.
Awesome. Well, we will do it in March because February is already jacked for us. So March. Awesome.
Okay.
All right, Sarah, hold her accountable to setting that date.
You got it. Put it on your
All right,
calendar.
guys. We recorded this. We're going to post it. Where are we posting it, Sarah? Where are we going to put it?
We're going to put it on social media. We can also send you a link through email. But before we go, I run social media. So just for my benefit, can we all smile into the camera if you're comfortable, turn your cameras on, and either give a thumbs up or a wave. And I'm just going to take a quick video. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Everyone wave and give a thumbs up. Okay, Perfect. I hope you enjoyed this class as much as I did. Thank you, Gene and Susan, and thank you to everyone who joined us.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining.
Have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a good weekend, y'all.